emphasize to you is that the threat from Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, potentially nuclear weapons capability, that threat is real. We only need to look at the report from the International Atomic Energy Agency this morning, showing what has been going on at the former nuclear weapons sites to realize that. And the policy of inaction is not a policy we can responsibly subscribe to. So the purpose of our discussion today is to work out the right strategy for dealing with this, because deal with it we must. And the threat that the weapons of mass destruction held by Saddam Hussein's regime pose is a very real threat. Yes, we discussed both those things, and of course it's important that we're constantly sharing that information. As I've indicated to you, we intend releasing a dossier showing just why this threat and this issue is so real. And we'll release that, as I said before, within the next few weeks. But there is a direct threat to British national security in the trade in chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. And I tell you honestly what my fear is. My fear is that we wake up one day and we find either that one of these dictatorial states has used weapons of mass destruction, moved Saddam Hussein from power, and disarm Iraq of its weapons of mass destruction. But this new world faces a new threat of disorder and chaos, born either of brutal states like Iraq, hate our way of life, our freedom, our democracy. My fear, deeply held, based in part on the intelligence that I see, is that these threats come together and deliver catastrophe to our country and our world. These tyrannical states, conventional threat to our security that Britain has faced before. Bush and I have committed ourselves to peace in the Middle East. Leaders like Saddam threaten the very existence of such a world. That we presented to people, and let me just make one or two things clear. Firstly, the idea that we doctored intelligence reports in order to invent some notion about a 45-minute capability of delivering weapons of mass destruction. The idea that we doctored such intelligence is completely and totally false. Every single piece of intelligence that we presented was cleared very properly by the Joint Intelligence Committee. Secondly, the idea is apparently Claire Short is saying that I made some secret agreement with George Bush back last September that we would invade Iraq in any event at a particular time is also completely and totally untrue. Propaganda against the Arab and the Western world working in partnership together. The rebirth of Iraq is the death of their attempt to sell the people of Iraq for the people in the Middle East and for the people of our world. The different parts of the community in Iraq, the Sunni, the Shia, the Kurds, sitting down together. So I'm signaling that I'm up for the policy of handling and dealing with this issue, and we're going to be with America in doing that. Well, regime change was their policy, so regime change is always part of the discussion.
And was it your policy?
No, it wasn't our policy to have regime change, but it was our policy to deal with the WMD issue. I profoundly disagree. Saddam was himself a wellspring of terror, a continuing threat to peace and to his own people. If he'd been left in power in 2003, then I believe he would once again have threatened world peace, and when the Arab revolutions of 2011 began, he would have clung to power with the same deadly consequences. The intelligence assessments made at the time of going to war turned out to be wrong. The aftermath turned out to be more hostile, protracted, and bloody than ever we imagined. The coalition planned for one set of ground facts and encountered another. And a nation whose people we wanted to set free and secure from the evil of Saddam became instead
victim to sectarian terrorism.
Mr. Blair! Come! Blair lied! Blair lied! Thousands died! Blair lied! Thousands died! Be all right, please.
What he done was an act of treason in my book, because he lied to Parliament. He manufactured the lies to send us to an illegal war. He knew it was an illegal war. There was no justification to go into Iraq whatsoever, and the man should be prosecuted.
Now! It's a liar! Tony Blair! It's a liar! Tony Blair! Tony Blair! It's a liar! Tony Blair! It's a liar! A liar! Tony Blair! It's a liar! It's a liar! Tony Blair! It's a liar! Tony Blair!
Thank you, Chris, and thank you all for coming this morning.
Justice for all!